Good morning and happy Thursday. Thank you for being here. And welcome to WGSN-DB Going Solo Network Radio, TV, and Podcast, #1 Internet Talk Network. I'm Elana, your host of Your Health Vibes with the one, the only, Elana. And my journey is to raise your heart, body, and soul vibes to the next level so you can transform your life today. And today we have a special guest, the one, the only, Barb Hubbard. And today we are going to be talking about why the heck not? Welcome, Barb.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so glad you're here too. And also, Barb is my dot sister. So I just wanted to give out a shout out to the polka dots.
Yes, yay.
Yay. Well, thank you so much for being here, Barb. And I'm just so excited for you to tell your story and also share another special thing that just came out as well.
Yay.
So,
Can't wait.
Yay. So if you want to start off, why don't you just start off telling a little bit about yourself and your story? We'd love to hear it.
Sure. So I'm Barb Hubbard. I'm a time management coach and ADHD specialist. And like many people that I speak with, I have had kind of a winding journey to this current moment in time. I started out teaching for 20 years. I was teaching at the elementary level in special education. And I taught in a variety of settings, but the commonality was that all the kids that I worked with had some neurodivergence going on. So I worked with kids with ADHD, with learning disabilities, with autism. And after about 16, 17 years, I decided it was time to move on. And I wasn't really sure how to do that, but I took a few steps. I got started. I, figured it out and ended up coaching. So I'm certified as an ADHD coach. It kind of made sense, right? Like I worked with these kids and I moved on. So, but what happened in the beginning, I've been coaching about 5 years. And what happened in the beginning of that time was I thought I had to work with parents and kids because that's what I had been doing my whole adult life. Right. And I had all these friends and colleagues and polka dot sisters coming my way and saying, wait, but I don't have ADHD, but I do have issues with time management. And I'm wondering if I can help, if you can help me, if I can get your help. And I had these people coming to me. I also had people who did have an ADHD diagnosis coming my way. Right. And I transitioned to working with women who have any time management or ADHD concerns.
I really love that. I love how you got to take your experiences and something that pushed, being a teacher and having so much and really get to show up and say, you know what, this is what I truly love. This is my passion. And I love that you don't just put it in one box. You allow the circle to open up and not just be like, this is who, it is. Yeah. And that's what I love about you.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I think it's a passion of mine to help people figure out what they really, really want to do. I think too many people are stuck in this rut of doing something they don't really enjoy, and they feel like they have to because that's what their education has been about. That's what their career has been about. But really, they want to go over here and try this new thing. And I hear that all the time. And I want to help people stop procrastinating and take those steps, right? Like if your passion is a new career, let's take the steps to get there. If your passion is just to, volunteer more, let's take the steps to get there, right? Whatever it is.
Right. And I love that. So with that too, is saying, we get stuck in this and maybe we can kind of talk a little bit more. Why do you think we get stuck? Or why do you think it's that constant? Do you think it's society? Do you think it's generational or things like that? What has helped you to help with these others, like from your personal aspect of where it's coming from, of when we get in and what's going on for that time?
I think it's both of those things and more. It is societal. It is generational. I think that many people want to please their parents, right? I think almost
Yeah.
everybody wants to please their
Yeah.
parents, right? Like you want, but really your parents want you to do what is best for you. But
Right.
as you're going through life, you're like, well, I spent all this money on my education, or my parents helped
Yeah.
me pay for my education. I should do what I set out to do. So I think there's a lot around feeling like you can't change your mind, like you can't take a step in a different direction.
Right.
But then there's also just life gets in the way. You
It
have
sure does.
kids, if you have kids, your kids take over your life for a bit. And it is hard to carve out time for yourself. So I hear that a lot. I hear that people just get distracted. They don't necessarily have a specific action or specific goal that they're working towards, and suddenly it's 5 years later and they don't know what happened.
Right.
So there's and then there's just the motivation of like, oh, is it really for me? Like, am I going to be able to do this? I mean, there's so many factors that factor into this. Yeah.
Right. No, I totally agree with that. And, with having kids and not, sometimes things, people, we don't always put ourselves first and showing up, I don't have kids, but I'm like antsy and things like that.
Yeah.
Do you have any advice for someone, like with what would you tell different, or growing up, we always say, well, I'm not going to do this when I have kids, or things like that. Or is there any fun stories like that you tell now, or that's helped you with like when you were younger, that you never said you do, that you see yourself kind of evolving with?
Interestingly, when I was little, I said that I would never be a teacher, and then I ended up teaching. So and my mom was a teacher, and my grandpa was a teacher. Like, there's teachers generationally in my life, and they taught 35 years until they retired, right? So I think that when people tell me that they cannot switch careers, or even simple things, they cannot find time to go out with their friends, they cannot volunteer more, they cannot just sit down and watch their own TV show, like simple things, right?
Yeah.
Or when people share that stuff with me, I always push back and say, like, come on, it's an hour.
Yeah.
It isn't really about the time. I often say time management is not about the time. It's not about the minutes on the clock.
Right.
It is about your mindset. It is about how you think, or what you think you can or can't do. And you need to wrap your head around that. You can find an hour in your week. You can. And you can do both, right? You can be a busy mom, busy career woman, busy whatever, busy spouse for yourself. You absolutely can.
Definitely. And I think too, like my mom has always come up, and one of the things that she's always told me, you have a choice. So no matter where you're at, like, it's funny, is Kelly had asked a question, our daughter, like, what did your mom used to say, or things like that, mom would say. So my mom always says, Elena, you have a choice. You always have a choice how you want to show up. No one's, making you do anything you don't want. And, we have our highs or lows. We can always have an excuse, but you have a choice.
You do.
To show up,
You do. You really do. And even for the people who feel like they don't have a choice, they're making the choice to not have a choice.
Right.
No,
it definitely does. Yeah.
Yeah.
And with that, I was wondering, maybe you can give a little background of you, like kind of like from like kind of and kind of where, I want to come and share that Barb has written a book.
Here it
is. Do you want to share the title of the book, Barb?
Yes, absolutely. So it's called Quit Chasing Squirrels and Start Chasing Your Dreams. And there are 50 hacks to get you started.
Woo! And that's going to kind of bring in, so I want to kind of talk, because I love Barb and just her story. She's an inspiration. And if you could kind of show me or tell me, a little bit about you and your background and maybe why you chose to, do this book. But real fast, my parents are in Portugal. Want to give a shout out. They said, because your parents
Yay.
always want the best for you. And with all the factors that are out there, we know you will take the best of what we gave you and you will go with it and make it work. Love you.
Yes. Oh, I got the chills from that. That's fabulous. Yes.
And then my
Yay.
sister popped
Yeah.
on, Stephanie, and she says, I need that book. Yes,
Yeah.
sister. Yes, you do.
Yes.
So Stephanie says, sometimes I say to just start for only 5 minutes. And then before you know it, you're doing something for even longer, like meditation or exercise.
That is one of the hacks in the book. It's just get started, right? Just take 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And the trick to that is that you need to give yourself permission to stop if you don't want to do it, right? So if you get 5 minutes into your exercise, and you're like, nope, I don't want to. Yeah, you need to give yourself permission to stop. But 9 times out of 10, you'll keep going.
Right. I love that you say that. You definitely have to give yourself and give yourself grace and things like that, we even talked about this morning. I said, I was feeling a little off yesterday and I had to stop. I couldn't be like, you got to get your podcast. You got to do all these things going that I had to do. I didn't have to do anything. I had to listen to myself.
Yes, absolutely. So important.
Yeah.
So you wanted to hear a little bit about how this idea came to me. So this book was 2 years in the making and it was released this week. So it's hot off the press. I was working with a lot of women who were struggling to get started on the dishes, on the laundry. And we would talk about time management. We would talk about ADHD. And one of the questions that I always ask when I first start working with someone is, what are your dreams? What are your passions? And what I discovered that was so interesting to me is they weren't just procrastinating on the stuff they didn't want to do, like the dishes or the laundry. Yeah. They were procrastinating on the stuff they did want to do, their passions, their dreams. Every single person had something in their life. They wanted to go back to school, but couldn't find the time. They wanted to, be a mentor to other moms, but couldn't get started on that. They wanted, and there were big things too, like switching careers and writing books and things like that too. But every one of them had a dream, a passion, and it was in the back of their mind, and they just weren't doing it. They weren't getting started. And so I started compiling this list. Initially, it was for things like getting the dishes done, get started on the dishes, get started on the laundry, make that phone call, exercise, meditate. But what I realized as I got going and sharing these hacks with people was they work for your dreams and passions too. They help you get started or restarted on your dreams and passions too.
Which and so did you ever think you'd write a book? Was this something that was ever in your repertoire of one of these days with all my stories and all my, I want to write a book. What really, I know with all of that, but did you, talking about your background, what made you really inspire that aha moment?
Yeah, I have always liked to write. So I will say that. And when I was first teaching, I thought about writing a book. I talked with a colleague about writing a book, but it was going to be about all the funny things that little kids do and say. That was our idea back, 25 years ago. Great. And so it was kind of, I think I kind of put it out into the universe, maybe it was something that I was interested in, not necessarily something that I dreamed about or that it was a huge passion of mine. Until I got going on it and I had this, what I think is just this amazing idea that can help so many people, then it really lit a fire under me. I got to get this out here. I'm passionate about sharing this with people. And then it just was so hard, so hard. So it went, it's like peaks and valleys. Like, yeah, I like writing. This will be good. I can do this. And then, oh my goodness, writing a book is so much harder than I thought it was going to be. Yeah.
I love that, and it just, how it kind of all transpired and showing up and just how you are showing up is so authentic, which I really love because, I feel we all go through this and it's just talking about it, putting yourself out there, being vulnerable and knowing, what, like no more excuses, really start chasing your dreams and showing up for yourself.
Yeah. And so one of the things that I am passionate about, and it comes across in the book and in my coaching and in my membership community, is we have to be authentically ourselves. Like you need to show up as you. And no matter what you're trying to get started on, if you don't show up in the way that works best for you, it's not as likely to happen. You're going to keep procrastinating. But if you do what works for you and you are authentically you, genuinely you, then you are more likely to move forward and get started and take those steps.
Right. I do agree with that. Yes. Now with that, I think with procrastination, it'll blah, 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 right?
Yeah. Too many thoughts. Only a few can come out.
Yeah. So basically, it deals with self-doubt and fear of like failure. So how does your book like address the psychological barriers and dealing with, different realms of what it is?
Yeah, that's such a great question. So the book has 4 categories of hacks, of ways to get started, right? And there's the obvious ones like boost your energy. That's one category. There are also hacks around getting clarity around your ideas, right? But along with energy is energizing your mind, like getting your mind ready, right? And it's not always as simple as, doing 10 jumping jacks or getting started for 5 minutes and boom, you're on, right?
Yeah.
So there are hacks around sustaining that motivation. So eating well, sleeping well. And one of the things that really occurred to me later and isn't addressed as strongly in the book as I might have liked now, is that idea around fear, like getting over your fear. I experienced this myself this summer. The book was pretty much done in May. It took me several months to get past my fear of putting it out into the world. And so if I could go back and add to the book now, I would share more around, doing meditating, journaling. Those are some of the hacks in the book, but going deep into what is holding you back. What is it really about, right? What are you really scared of?
Yeah. So for you, I don't know if you mind sharing, what was your biggest fear? What were you afraid of? And how did you release that to let that go? When we need to let that in mind.
Yeah. My biggest hang up turned out to be around being in the spotlight and receiving that attention that comes with, putting your idea out into the world, right? And I can go back and share hundreds of examples, but I like to be a wallflower. I like to hang back and observe. I am very much an introvert. I like, to be quiet. And so being in the spotlight is the opposite of all that, right? So I journaled, I meditated, I worked with some energy healers who do work energetically to clear it. I also, I know how to do tapping, EFT tapping, where you tap on the meridian points. I do that almost every day. Those are all things that helped me clear the fear and be able to move forward. And it wasn't one of them all by itself. It was a combination of all of it.
Yeah. I love that statement, clear the fear.
Yeah.
You should
I
get like
had
a
to clear
happy.
the fear. Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
you should totally jump on something
Yeah.
like that. Clear the fear.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful. Well, we're going to have to take a break right now just for a couple minutes. But when we come back, I would love to talk a little bit more, maybe talk about some hacks and, a little bit more of the title of the book of how you came up with that. So we are working with, I'm Elana and this is Barb. We are with WGSN-DB Going Solo Network. And we'll be back in 2 minutes. Stand up, shake out any energy that you need, go to the bathroom real fast because we're going to be right back. You're listening to Your Health Vibes with Elana. Hello and welcome back. I'm the host, Elana, of Your Health Vibes with Elana. We're with WGSN-DB Going Solo Network, your #1 talk show network. And I'm here with Barb Hubbard, and we are talking about why the heck not? Welcome back, everybody. We are here today with Barb Hubbard, and she's a time management coach and ADHD specialist. And we are talking about her new amazing book, Quit Chasing Squirrels and Start Chasing Your Dreams. There's that book. You can get it on Amazon. Woo woo. And we'll be able to tell you more about that. But welcome back, Barb.
Thank you.
We had a really great first half and would love to kind of jump right back into our conversation. We're talking about clearing the fear, how you kind of came about to writing this book. And I would love to talk about what inspired you to, with your title of the book and kind of like the metaphor of the squirrel and procrastination and things like that.
Absolutely. Yeah. So for the longest time, I just called this, my working title was Getting Started Hacks. Because that's what it was originally. It was just a list of different ways to get started. So strategies, tips, workarounds to get started.
Yeah.
So I called it Getting Started Hacks. And as I was writing, I had hired a book coach for accountability, and she was pulling these ideas out of me, and I was adding more and more and more to the book. So I got into more explanation around identifying your passion, around knowing yourself, around figuring out why you're procrastinating. And through all of that, and just the fact that I am an ADHD specialist, the idea of chasing squirrels came up, right? So
Yeah.
I can't pinpoint one moment when that idea came up, but a lot of people, when they hear ADHD, they also think to themselves, squirrel, right? Squirrel. So squirrel is kind of recognized in the ADHD community as, and maybe by others too, but definitely in the ADHD community as this metaphor for being distracted, for putting things off. Instead of doing what I want to do, what I need to do, I am distracted by that squirrel over there, and I run and do that. So that idea kind of came to the forefront, and I realized that too many people are just chasing squirrels. That's that's what they're doing, right? Like we talked about earlier, you can make time. It's a choice. Like you
Yeah.
said, it's a choice.
Yeah, it's a choice to do. And or like when your mind, when someone's mind starts being like squirrel, this, that, like with these hacks, where can you help someone to be like, all right, take a little time out, let's come back, and how, what are some, I guess your hacks or some things that you help not squirrel.
So the number one thing that I recommend is for people to pause. That is my number one tip. That it is a hack in and of itself, is to pause and breathe, and take a few breaths, right? But when you pause and you truly pause for 60 seconds and you breathe and you ground yourself and you look around and you're present in your space, generally the next urgent task or the passion that you have for a project will rise to the top. And that's when you can decide, okay, I'm going to make a choice to either do this or I'm going to choose to follow the next squirrel, right? The next notification, the next phone call, the next whatever, right?
Yeah.
So when you pause and you think about it, you can choose. And then you can refer to the hacks in the book. Do you need some energy? Do you need clarity around the idea? Like, is your project so overwhelming you don't know where to start? Maybe you need some clarity around it. If you need energy, just you're feeling sluggish, you need to focus and you need energy, those hacks are there. Accountability. Accountability is huge. There's a whole chapter of accountability hacks. Things like sharing what you're going to do with others, hiring a book coach. That was my form of accountability for myself to get the book done. It wasn't going to happen if I didn't have accountability. And then, go ahead.
Go ahead. No, sorry, go ahead.
And then the last, so I said accountability, energy, clarity, and mindset. The mindset hacks are the last category of hacks, where you believe you can do this. You're clearing the fear.
Yeah. I really think that should be a new motto or like a hat, or like I would definitely like promote it, like clear the fear. When you hear it.
Okay, I don't think I've ever said that in my life, and now I'm going to be saying it every day.
Well, I love it though. When I say it, it feels good, and it's like that release, like clear the fear, like well, like you got it, And I love that you have different sections, the accountability and all that, because I think that's our biggest thing is being present and being accountable, or helping everybody else. I can be accountable for everybody else. Hey, girl, accountable for that. But it's like when it's time to show up for yourself and be accountable and be what I like you said, being present and showing up authentically and being present with it all.
Yeah. I talk about accountability a lot, and I would love to share my own story around accountability.
Yes, please.
Okay,
yes.
So I used to think that asking for accountability from someone else was a bother to them, was something I shouldn't have to do. And I talk about this a little bit in the book, so I wouldn't, right? I wouldn't ask for somebody to check in with me, and I didn't want to bother them. I thought I should be able to do whatever the task was on my own. And there is a great author, podcast host named Gretchen Rubin. Gretchen Rubin initially she wrote The Happiness Project. That's, I think, what she's most well known for. But she wrote another book called The Four Tendencies that talks about the reasons why you, it's a personality trait, why you are able to do what you set out to do. And one of the categories, one of the tendencies she describes is obliger. And an obliger needs accountability. So I read this book and I went, oh my gosh, this is me. I can get anything done if I am accountable to someone else. So I'll go to the gym if a partner's waiting for me.
Exactly.
Go for a walk on my own. Wasn't as likely. I will write the book if my book coach is waiting for the content. I will, do all kinds. I'll do the dishes because my family expects there to not be a smelly kitchen, right? Like, right. But it's all about accountability. So what I realized is many, many, many people need accountability like I do. And there is no shame around it. There does not need to be any shame around it. Like, it is as much a part of me as my love for chocolate ice cream. I love chocolate ice cream. I need accountability. Like, there is
Yeah.
no shame around it, right?
No
And
shame.
and when I work with people to understand this and they embrace the idea of it's okay to ask for accountability, then they start getting stuff done too. And
Right.
so that the idea of accountability has made a huge, huge, profound impact on my life. Yeah.
I really love that you say that because for me, that I feel the same way too. I also do like when I work out or that's what my
Yeah.
jam is, helping others of
Yeah.
that. But when it's my time, I'm like, do I want to go on a walk? No, I'll just sit a little bit longer. Like I don't have to meet
Yeah.
anybody. Like no, or if my work is
Exactly.
like, hey, like let's go on a walk. Like he does, he's coming home from work. He's like, you want to go on a walk? Yes, I'll go on a
Yes.
walk with you. I'm not going to take
Yes.
off my shoes yet.
Yes.
I'll do it.
Yes.
But
Yes.
here that day I'm saying
Yep.
like I'm gonna walk. No,
Yes.
I'll go do the dishes. I'll go do
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Myself accountable. So I really like that
Yeah.
that you were sharing that you can relate to that and you're not just writing about it.
Yes.
Authentically showing
Yes.
up again, which
Yes.
I think is really beautiful.
Yeah, yeah. And there's many ways to create accountability for yourself where you're not bothering other people. It's not all about asking your friend to check in with you, which could be a bother to them, right?
What are
There's
some
so many
ways
other ways.
that you could share that's like
Yeah,
some that I would love to, even for myself, to
yeah,
hey, change it
yeah,
up a little bit. Like,
yeah. So one of my favorite ways is to get together with people in a co-working session online. So I don't even have to
ooh,
go anywhere. So
yeah.
I created this for myself, and then it ended up being part of my membership community. But I host a power hour every week where we
Ooh,
come together online and we all work on whatever it is we have to work on. So we're all doing our own things, and we come back at the end of the hour and check in with each other. And so everybody's getting stuff done every Monday morning. I host it for anybody who wants to come one day a month, but I host it for
mhm,
my membership community every week. And it started because I needed it. I needed that
right.
accountability, right?
And then how can people get to that if they want to
Oh
join
yeah,
you for something like this? Would love for you to share that, and you can get a hold of Barb afterwards as well. But please give
yes.
a plug for
Yeah,
what that is.
yeah. So the once a month, it's the first Monday of every month at 11 a.m. Pacific time. And you can
Mhm.
find out how to register for free on my website. You go to the How to Eat an Elephant community, scroll down, it's towards the bottom of that page. So, yeah,
Yay. Well, great. Thank you
yeah,
so much for sharing that.
yeah,
And then I just
yeah.
want to also give a shout out to our sponsor, the Heart of Ida. Thank you for sponsoring the show. We really appreciate you. The Heart of Ida is on East 4th Street of Long Beach. They help low income seniors, educational for them. So just wanted to give them a little shout out on the side as well. So thank you, Heart of Ida, for sponsoring us. Yay. So also I was wondering if you could pick your top, I mean, there's so many with all your hacks or that, but if someone said your go-to, one of your number ones that right now that comes up, what is one of your favorite ones that you could share with us and say, this is one of my, I mean, all of them are fabulous,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. But what is like
Yeah.
go-to that, you could just right away, like, boom, go there.
One that I use every single day is to build momentum. So
Ooh.
there's some popular advice out there to start your day with the hardest task.
Mhm.
I cannot do that at all. It never works for me, ever, ever, ever. And so what I discovered is I have to build momentum. So I start every day with 3 or 4 small, easy tasks. And if I really am needing, kind of that dopamine boost, I will write
Yeah.
them down and cross them off, right? Like I brushed my teeth, I loaded the dishwasher, very simple things.
Yeah.
I don't always write them down, but if I really need to, I will. Um, but 3 or 4 small things, checking emails, responding to a social media post, small things like that. And then I jump into the harder task because that momentum that I get from the
Mhm.
small successes helps
Right.
build the energy for the harder things. So that is a go-to hack that I use each and every day.
I love that. And I love that something that you can do every day, that it's not stressful. Because I think sometimes we try to get into this routine and it ends up stressing us out
Yeah,
because we didn't accomplish the list. We didn't like, I
yeah,
said I was going to do blah, 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 blah. And then you're
yeah,
like, I didn't do that. I didn't do that. And putting that
right.
pressure. So
Yeah,
to
yeah.
clear the fear of not
Yes,
going,
to clear the fear. Yes.
yeah,
And what I have learned is that um, again, people need to do things their own way. When you try to set out and do something exactly like your friend, exactly like your colleague, exactly like the expert that wrote that book, right?
right.
When you try to follow that exact way, it often doesn't work, especially for neurodivergent people,
Yes.
especially for that. I work with women who have ADHD and other neurodivergent issues and concerns, right? So um,
Right. Could you talk a little
often,
bit more about that?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
really, as I said, you don't put it in one box. The whole
right,
realm of it
yeah,
all is really special.
yeah, yeah. So often these women come to me and they have tried everything under the sun, right? Or they say they have, but they are trying to do it like their friend, like their colleague,
Mm,
like their spouse, like their
right.
like what they read in a book, and they're trying to follow the steps that somebody
Mhm.
else is following. And it always comes back to doing what works for you. So you can
Right.
pick and choose, right? Like
Mhm.
choose something your friend does, choose something you read in a book or heard on a podcast or whatever, but you have to put it together for you because when you have ADHD, autism, learning disabilities, your brain is wired differently.
Right.
It just is. And there is absolutely no shame around that. But you do have to work a little bit to figure out what's going to work for you, like what
Right.
strategies are best, right? That's
Mhm.
why I give 50 different hacks because they're not all going to work for you. You got to pick and choose the ones that do. And I
Right.
love working with this community of people because I love to see that shift from the overwhelm and anxiety and just sadness they feel
Mhm.
over, not being able to get started on whatever and
Right.
shift into, oh my goodness, this worked for me. Like I figured
Mhm.
it out, right?
Yeah,
So yeah, it's an amazing community that I work with.
it really is. And I really love that you say that. And I feel I could really relate. I grew up with learning disabilities. So, people always think I didn't understand. And I have written expression disorder where it's like what I'm thinking in my head doesn't come out necessarily pressed or like, oh, she doesn't get it.
Mhm.
No, I'm just learning different. So someone else can do something. So I love that because I feel like you see me.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like I wasn't seen because they think, oh, she's talking or she doesn't get it. Or no, I just
Mhm.
learn. I'm learning different and that's okay.
Yeah.
And as a teacher, you have to adapt to everything. You
Yes.
can't learn for
Yeah.
like, I say it's kind of like perfume. You like a perfume on someone, but you want it to smell the same. It's not. Your pheromones, everybody's
Right.
different.
Yes.
So,
It's such a great example. Yes. Yes.
so it's like spraying perfume on someone. You may not like it, but that it smells good on them, but it may not work for you. So
Yeah.
I love that
Yeah.
you do that. And I feel so seen by you and heard that you give different options, not just one in a box and where I feel like, oh, I don't get it because you're this.
Right. 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 And when I wrote my book, that was very much at the top of my mind, right? Like I am not writing a book for, you know, 10 10 steps to be the most successful human. Like that's not
Right.
right. Like
Yeah.
here are ideas to pick and choose what works for you, try them out and go from there.
Right. Well, we're going to have to start wrapping up everything, but I just wanted to thank you so much for being here. I am so proud of you for your book. Everybody, please go out and get a copy. Like,
Thank
it is amazing. I'm so proud of you, clearing the fear, putting yourself out, and being a star. So if you guys
you.
wants to get in touch with Barb. Oh, where can we find the book? Thank you. Hi, Tony. That's the boyfriend.
Yes.
Yeah, where can we find the book real fast?
It is on Amazon. So yes,
Okay.
that's it
Reach
at
out
the moment.
Amazon,
Just for Amazon.
everything like that. So that would be great. So you can do that. And, I want to end it with one quick quote. With that, what about the fear of success? We'll come back to that another time, Mom and Dad. Jay real fast said, my 7-year-old, but now my daughter's using a full spectrum. So you gummies, ADHD, anxiety, autism, depression, and ODD. And it's really helping, especially with her mood and focus, tantrum, sleep. She's doing a lot better now. And so thank you, Jay, for that. Love you, Vicky. And so I'm going to end with a quick quote. I'm truly at peace. My heart is at rest and my mind is content. I am floating on a cloud of gratitude and faith. My spirit is wrapped in the divine love of the universe. I am gaining new perspectives and refocusing my views. My evolution is at its peak. What I deserve makes its way to me instantaneously. I am the key that ignites my abundant life. Miracles love to surround me. So thank you, everybody. Thank you for being here, Barb. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me.
It was just so special. And you can get a hold of me at ef11ca@gmail.com. My number is 562-235-8410, or you can check out my website at yourhealthvibes.com. Thank you, everybody, for being here. You can join my show bi-weekly at 12 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 9 Pacific, raising your vibration, heart, body, mind, and soul. Once again, thank you guys for being here. Appreciate you and love you.